Here's the next piece of fan art I wanted to show off. This one is by Baggy Boy, an amazing artist and fellow YouTuber. The picture has her style written all over it. It's an animation channel. You should definitely check it out. Anyways, onto the video. This is part 3 of the Jehovah's Witness 2018 convention leaks. Let's get into it.
So Peter, let's hear from you next.
Well, when we informed everyone that the publishers were going to be redistributed to the north or south congregation, let's just say some struggled with the idea.
Paula, did you see? They have us going to the South congregation, and everybody else from our group is going to North.
Yeah, I saw that. My aunt and cousins will be going there too.
Well, that doesn't make any sense. They should keep you together.
Okay, so basically what's happening here is they're depicting a kingdom hall getting closed down and its members being redistributed to other nearby congregations. That's a big problem lately, because the Jehovah's Witnesses are basically hemorrhaging money right now. Between lawsuits over explicitly telling people not to call the police when there's a sexual abuse accusation, and them just not bringing in many new members. Not to mention the court-ordered fine they have to pay, which is still racking up until they release the 23,000 names of pedophiles they've been hiding for 50 years. They are really struggling. Let me just take a second to explain how they manage their properties. When I was little, every now and then we'd have what they call quick builds. It's where they get everybody in a neighboring congregation to pitch in some money and show up to a property, and they'd build an entire kingdom hall in a weekend. When you get like 100 people together all building something at once, it goes really quickly. Hence the name Quick Build. Then they turn the deeds and everything over to the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. So in the 90s and 2000s, they had a bunch of these quick builds all over the country. And now the Watchtower Society is selling them off because they're super short on money. Sometimes the property is donated to them by members of the congregation. Sometimes they buy it for dirt cheap. So the society is basically getting these big, beautiful buildings put up for what amounts to practically nothing, built with slave labor, volunteer labor. And the society ends up investing maybe a few $1,000s and coming out the other side with a couple $100,000 property. They use that property to get loans from banks and stuff. It's more like a realty company than anything. And actually, the Watchtower Society does have a realty wing to it. The Watchtower Society is a name given to a bunch of different corporations, which were all split up and segregated. Some of those corporations were specifically created to sidestep the law, so that if there were any questions asked about child abuse, they could say, oh yeah, that's the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society that has those records. We're the Christian Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses. We don't have access to that stuff. You'll have to talk to the other guys, thus trying to avoid any court orders. But when it came down to it, the court saw right through it and ordered they turn the names over anyways. Like I was saying. Sorry about that. Got off on a little tangent for a second. When the Watchtower Society runs out of money, they sell off the older buildings and get the people to build newer, nicer ones. At most, they probably have a couple $1,000s invested in any one property, and they can sell them for multiple hundreds of thousands. So since they're low on money now, they've been selling off the older buildings and splitting up the congregations. Now there was one more thing I wanted to touch on about that clip. Notice how they're assigning people to new congregations, and some of them are curmudgeonly about it. That's my new word, by the way, curmudgeonly. Expect to hear it a lot more. That and persnickety. Anyways, they're curmudgeonly about being assigned to new congregations and disliking where they're being sent. In reality, it wouldn't really matter where the people choose to go. You can pick whatever congregation you want most of the time, but this is about leadership and control. They have to give them a sense of direction. That's understandable. When people don't have a sense of direction, they kind of wander aimlessly. So I can understand the Watchtower Society trying to provide a sense of structure and direction while they sell this big, beautiful building right out from under the people who probably built it. But this video is basically telling them to suck it up and do what they say. No exceptions. Kinda gets to me a little bit. Okay, let's continue.
Well, at least the brothers said that the list was just a recommendation.
Well, they didn't say it exactly like that. They said if we had extenuating circumstances.
So you don't have to go if you don't want to go.
Okay, obviously this chick has a serious problem with where she's been placed, and they're breaking up families. That's kind of messed up, but you have to realize that this is a propaganda piece put out by the Watchtower Society, and everything in it happens for a very specific reason. They're saying that they're going to break up families while they move people to different congregations. I'm guessing that's at least partly because they want to break down the familial bond and strengthen people's ties to the organization. They've always been after families since day one. So what we have here is this chick saying she really doesn't want to move to the congregation they told her to. And we have another sister here telling her to be quiet and accept what the Watchtower Society is telling her to do. Let's move on.
But Kim, if everyone did that, don't you think
Hi, Sister Taylor.
Oh, hello, girls.
I saw your name on the list for the South congregation, but your grandkids and their families, they're going to North. So what are you going to do?
What do you mean?
Well, are you going to North or are you going to South?
Now, sweetie, didn't you say you saw my name listed under the South congregation?
Yeah, but
So, I'll be going to the South congregation.
Another case of a family being split up, and the Watchtower Society is pointing out that she's completely outnumbered. Everybody wants her to listen to the Watchtower Society. She's looking for backup to tell her that it's okay if she wants to be with her family. And everybody she talks to is telling her to leave her family and go to the congregation to which she's been assigned. The elder in the background smiles when he hears one of them shut her down. There's just something that feels wrong about this whole thing. I can't be alone here.
well, don't you think it would make more sense if you were in the same congregation as your grandkids and their families?
Yes, it would make more sense.
Does it make more sense? Well, that's a whole different question.
Oh, that's a whole different question, is it? So she's basically saying shut the f*** up and follow the instructions of the Watchtower Society. No questions asked.
That's a whole different question. The brothers outlined an arrangement. They said they hoped we could support that arrangement, unless we had extenuating circumstances, and I don't have any right now. So, for me, it's simple. Whether I think it makes sense or not, I'm going to support that arrangement. Oh, look, girls, I've got to go. Oh, and by the way, I hope to see you both in the South congregation.
Such a manipulative encounter. The interactions and the propaganda piece were manipulative from start to finish. Obey the Watchtower Society under any circumstances, no matter what. This isn't even that big of a deal. The Watchtower Society doesn't give a shit which congregation people go to, ultimately. It makes no difference. As long as they show up to one of them. The underlying message is a message of control. You must do what the elders say, no matter what. And when you have elders telling members not to report sexual abuse they just experienced to the police, what do you think is going to happen? Do they deserve to be prosecuted for this? Jehovah's Witnesses are now using this thin defense that we should be prosecuting the pedophiles for the sin, not the organization for telling people not to report the abuse to the police. Well, look at the level of manipulation that's going on. Is there any doubt in anybody's mind that we should be prosecuting the organization for manipulating people like that? That's some f***ed up shit. 23,000 pedophiles have been let off the hook, flown under the radar, because the society, among other things, told people not to report it. They treated it as a sin instead of the crime that it is. This is standard cult manipulation, and it has to stop.
Peter, you got a sec? We need to replace.
I think this experience well illustrates one way to show courage now, and that's by following the direction of the brothers taking the lead, even if we don't fully understand the reasons why this direction has been given.
Exactly. We've been told when Gog of Magog attacks Jehovah's people, we may receive direction that may not seem practical. So courageously following directions now will help us to do so then. So brothers, we're almost done.
There it is again. They want people to listen and do what the Watchtower Society says, even if they don't understand, because they don't know what reasons they have to say it. That is some dangerous shit. There was an article on jwsurvey.org which talked about a Facebook survey. I know, not super reliable, but bear with me. It asked, if you were to go to the Kingdom Hall next Sunday and listen to a letter from the governing body instructing all in attendance to swallow an unknown pill, would you obey without hesitation, keeping the admonition from today's Watchtower Society in mind? Yes or no? Apparently 5 out of the 23 people who answered said yes, they would. Here are some of their responses. Even though the Watchtower Society has many errors, I still won't say that in the Great Tribulation they would let us sleep during that period, since we were always instructed that we should keep awake and watchful on the happenings of the world. So if they told us that, maybe the unknown pill has a high caffeine content to keep us awake and alert. Just a thought, and I would take it. Here's another. Yes, I will, since the instruction is from Jehovah. And another. With faith, I will take it. Even if I perish, Jehovah will remember me. This is some random Facebook poll, taken by random Facebook users. It isn't scientific evidence of anything, but it's scary. People will do anything the Watchtower Society tells them to do, and they've made sure that was the case. Anyways, that's all I've got for you. Follow me on Discord, Twitter, Facebook, and Patreon. And check out Baggy Boy's YouTube channel. Links are in the description. Thanks for watching, guys.